So welcome friends, today we are gonna see what if Naruto watching the future with Hagoromo in Konoha movie. After Sasuke had managed to kill Danzo, Kakashi, Sakura and his rival and brother in all but blood, Naruto had come. In another time and place, Sasuke had overused his Susanoo, causing him to become blind, however, a certain being had intervened preventing any more fighting from going on. This being had dark red spiky hair, with their bangs going past their chin wrapped in bandages, was dressed in a white robe reminiscent of a monk with 9 Magatama patterns on his back and 6 around his collar, he was floating with 10 black orbs in a perfect circle below him. But what stood out the most were his eyes, they were purple with ripples in them, except his third eye on his forehead, which was red. This being was none other than the sage of 6 paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. The reunited Team 7 just stared at this surreal entity for what seemed like ages. It was Kakashi who broke the ice. Kakashi asked, "Excuse me, but who may you be?" with caution as he could sense the raw power this man gave off, a sense of authority and respect, not to mention the fact that this man had 3 Rinnegan in his possession, making him cringe at the possibility at fighting someone like Pain again. Hagoromo replied, "I will tell you who I am soon enough, but first, I must summon the others for what I am going to reveal." Hagoromo made a series of unrecognizable hand signs, which even if Sasuke had managed to memorize them, had absolutely no idea what they were. Hagoromo them stopped on a hand sign which pulsated in immense amount powerful chakra, a huge cloud of smoke popped up making Team 7 wonder what the powerful entity did. When the smoke cleared, they saw all their friends from Konoha who were looking around in confusion due to the fact they were busy either preparing for the war or on missions far from the land of iron. There was Team 8 with Kurina Yuhi with her students, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburam and Hinata Hyuga, who immediately blushed a pretty shade of pink when her eyes landed on Naruto who she confessed to not too long ago and saw him with his hair flowing freely now that his headband was off. She turned completely red when Naruto smiled at her and said, "Hey Hinata." To Bayo. Then Team 9 with Mito Guy, along with his students Niji Hyuga, Tenten Higurashi and Rock Lee, who were equally confused by the sudden change of scenery. Team 10 with no real sensei due to the death of Suma Sarutobi, Ino Yamanaka and Choji Akimichi, all looking around in shock for being summoned to this area, except Shikamaru Nara, who couldn't give a shit to let out emotions until he noticed Temari, Kankiru and the Kazukiage, Gaara. Then Captain Yamato or Tenzo popped in looking around in confusion, Sai came next, who just looked around before smiling even more. Of course, there was also Tsunade Senju and her assistant Shizune Kato who were focused on the strange man. Tsunade yelled out, "What the hell is going on? And who are you?" Referring to the floating man who had everyone's attention now who all gasped in shock and fear due to possessing a pair of Rinnegan. Hagoromo chuckled, despite Tsunade's age being old compared to other people, to him, she was another child. "Please sit down children, I merely wish to show you something that I will help you in the future," but before that Hagoromo told them. The adults cringed at being called children, but something about this man's presence just told them all to listen and not complain, hell even Naruto and Sasuke felt compelled to listen to this man. He floated towards an unconscious Rikid named Karen, he hovered his left hand which was glowing blue over her, this healed Karen of all of her injuries and made her wake up slowly, which everyone, especially Tsunade and Sakura, who knew that medical ninjutsu of that level was not yet possible. Karen eventually opened her eyes and saw the sage. She asked, "Who are you?" whilst pushing her glasses up. Hagoromo told her, "I'll tell you later with everyone else, for now, join them." Karen wanted to swear in this guy's face, but her mind's eye of the Kagura made her think twice about doing that, she made her way to the Konoha shinobi. Instead of standing close to Sasuke and getting all flirty, she instead stood behind Naruto, who had much warmer chakra, after Sasuke had tried to kill her, there was no way she was going after him again. Not to mention the blonde in front of her gave her hope, that red swirl on his back gave her hope that he was at least in some way related to her. Hagoromo used his yin-yang release to create seats in a theater fashion, Tsunade, Shizune, along with Team 10 and 9, were seated on the top 2 rows. Yamato, Sai and Karen were seated on the middle row with the red head staring at Naruto intently, which Sai and Tsunade picked up on. Temari was on the top row with Shikamaru arguing about how lazy he was, which in response he just kept saying, "Troublesome." Gaara and Kankiru sat on the middle row as well, with the former greeting everyone, especially Naruto. Whereas Team 7 and 8 were seated on the same row on the bottom, with Naruto sitting next to Hinata due to her teammates being mean and making her sit next to him, much to her dismay and embarrassment. After Hinata had confessed to Naruto, she thought that Naruto would avoid no time with her because she believed that Naruto didn't like her, however, he instead left clones everywhere to help with the village's repairs whilst he went looking for her. She was shocked and afraid, she wasn't ready to speak to him so soon, let alone be around him after pulling that stunt off. So, she had begun to avoid him instead, only spending time with him whenever she couldn't get away due to the awkward feeling she'd have being around him. Making things worse, Naruto put himself rather close next to her. Naruto seemingly didn't care, but that was to be shown otherwise with what was going to happen soon. Besides, he really wanted to talk to her about what happened during the pain invasion. Sasuke and Sakura were next to each other, but Sakura was uncomfortable since Sasuke didn't hesitate to kill her earlier, but Kakashi's presence made her feel safer, along with the rest of the Konoha 11. Hagoromo decided to introduce himself to all the confused Konoha shinobi. I believe introductions are in order, so I'll go first. My name is Hagoromo Otsutsuki, but you all may know me better by the title Sage of Six Paths, he told them, making all of them drop their jaws to the ground, except Karen, who just shifted her glasses, and Sai, who just smiled even wider. Naruto shouted out first, "Wait. You're the Sage of Six Paths pervy Sage told me about?" He questioned, making everyone sweat drop at his rude manners when speaking to someone of such grand structure. Whilst Karen smiled at Naruto's personality. "Definitely in Uzumaki," she mused. However, the sage surprised them, I'm shocked that anyone of this time even knows that title. Naruto replied, "Of course. Everyone knows about you. You're the guy who made ninjutsu, you know." However, Hagoromo made the atmosphere turn chilly as he took great offense to the word ninjutsu. "Ninshu? I made ninshu to create bonds and understanding for peace. Not ninjutsu, which was made for war," Hagoromo stressed. Everyone remained silent until Tsunade asked him. "Excuse me, great sage, but may I ask why you have brought us here?" The sage replied, "Ah yes, I brought you here for the fact that with the way the future is set, many atrocities will occur, and I am here to prevent that through you children." Kiba then shouted out, "Oi. If you're the Sage of Six Paths, then why don't you change it if it's so bad?" This earned him a smack from Kurenai, who being rude to such a legendary figure. Hagoromo responded calmly, unaffected by his outburst. "I am not technically here, I am just a remnant of my chakra that transcends time, as such, I cannot interfere with what is rightfully others' responsibilities." They all nodded. Hagoromo continued his reasons for being here. "As I was saying, I have brought you here to show you the events of the future, which I dearly wish to change." Everyone was flabbergasted, they were going to be shown the future. Everyone had mixed thoughts, such as, will I be alive? And will I marry the one I love? Hagoromo saw that everyone was contemplating this, so he decided to choose Naruto. "Since no one is volunteering, I will show Naruto's future first," but he was cut off by Sasuke. "Boy. Why does Naruto get to have his shown first, what about me?" Sasuke questioned, with his superiority complex coming out again. Hagoromo sighed and told him, "I chose him because his future is quite important to everyone, if not, the entire world, which includes you." Sasuke clicked his tongue and spat out, "I probably took away all that was precious to him, yes, especially what's precious to him," he said darkly, whilst he narrowed his eyes towards a certain shy Hyuga who flinched under his gaze. No one else seemed to notice this. Then they all heard a new voice. "Then that includes you too, Sasuke," the newcomer said. Everyone looked towards this man and saw he wore the same clothing as Hagoromo, but instead, had white hair, and most notably shocking everyone, especially Hinata and Neji, were his Byakugan eyes. Hagoromo greeted him, "Good to see you, Hamura, what brings you here?" Hamura replied, "Long time no see, big brother, I just came to help you out." Hagoromo nodded and told him, "I appreciate your help and would like to explain all this to them easier since you're around." Whilst the brothers were talking, everyone else were just stupefied by the fact the Sage of Six Paths had a younger brother who apparently wielded the Byakugan. Then Neji, being a prideful Hyuga, decided to question the man. "Excuse me, Hamura-sama, but may I ask you who you are and how you have the Hyuga bloodline?" Neji asked as if he was enraged that someone other than a Hyuga had the bloodline. Hamura looked at him and laughed before replying. "Oh, my apologies, my name is Otsutsuki Hamura, the younger brother of Hagoromo. To answer your question, it's not that I have the Hyuga bloodline, rather that you Hyuga inherited my eyes," he told him. Everyone was shocked that the Hyuga bloodline came from this man, and no one even knew anything about him. Ino then decided to ask him, "Wait. If the Byakugan came from you, then why haven't we heard a thing about you?" This got everyone curious, even Sasuke. Hamura chuckled a bit before he told them. "Well, that may be because I lived on the moon," Hamura answered. A few seconds of silence went by before suddenly. "BHH." Everyone shouted, except Sai and Shikamaru. Hagoromo ordered, "Silence." Quiet again. Hamura continued, "Why?" "So, I could protect the Jito Meizo, the 10 tails husk, from being stolen." Tsunade's eyes twitched at the mention of 10 tails and asked. 10 tails? But aren't there only 9 beasts? Hagoromo told them, "The 10 tails is the original form of all my 9 children, but that'll be explained later." Everyone nodded before Hinata of all people asked one last question. You Hamura-sama, how did the Byakugan Sea come to Earth? She asked timidly. Hamura gave her a warm look before telling her, well, I had 2 children, a boy and a girl, both inherited my eyes and received chakra from me. My daughter, Hinako, decided to stay on Earth and eventually she too had children of her own and eventually one of them founded the Hyuga clan. Everyone was amazed by the fact that the Hyuga clan were technically an alien race, however, Naruto noticed Hamura staring at Hinata weirdly, which for some reason made him uncomfortable. Naruto called him out, "Oi. Why the heck are you looking at Hinata like that, you know?" Hamura laughed a bit before telling him, "Oh nothing. It's just that Hinata girl looks just like Hinako that I couldn't help myself." They accepted this, whilst Neji filed that away in his head as this may be important for the clan to know. Hamura then went back to Sasuke and told him. Well first off, you almost killed that Redeed over there who means quite a bit to Naruto, Hamura said, making everyone stare at the Redeed with a questioning gaze and towards Naruto who was confused. Hinata glared a little at Karen a bit jealous, Kiba on the other hand whistled at Naruto. Damn Naruto. When did you know someone so hot? He exclaimed. Hamura saw this and decided to clear up the misunderstanding. He laughed getting everyone's attention before saying, my mistake. I was meant to say that Sasuke almost killed Karen over there, who is one of Naruto's only cousins left. Everyone went wide-eyed, especially Naruto and Karen who looked at each other in shock. Karen looked at Naruto and stumbled out. I have a FFF family left. She stuttered in disbelief and on the verge of tears. Naruto was wide-eyed at her and kept his tears back before smiling at Karen, a genuine smile. Naruto said, guess we finally found each other Karen-nichan. Karen then jumped onto him in a big hug. Everyone smiled at the two, especially Hinata and Tsunade, who were happy that Naruto had family. They let the two relish their family reunion for a while. Yamato said to Kakashi, first his father, now his cousin. Kakashi nodded in response with a grin behind his mask. Meanwhile, with Tsunade and Shizune, they whispered to each other. I can't believe you and Naruto-kun still have another relative left. Shizune told her in excitement and happiness for her little brother figure and master. Tsunade replied, yeah, the clan is still alive after all, she said in a dazed tone, whilst watching the two cousins spin each other around. Hinata said mentally, I'm so happy for you Naruto-kun. You have family. Even Sasuke was surprised, a part of felt glad that Karen survived, not because he cared for her, but rather that Naruto had a family member. Then Hamura coughed to get their attention. Also, just to answer your question on how important you are to Naruto, Sasuke, I'll have Big Brother show you a special video that'll set the mood, Hamura told Sasuke. Hagoromo smiled knowing what he meant, he cast an illusion that showed the scene where Sakura was confessing to Naruto, everyone frowned at this, making Sakura feel shameful of herself, and Hinata felt upset when she saw Sakura hug Naruto. But then, what surprised everyone was when Naruto pushed Sakura away telling her to stop lying. But what happened next made the supposedly tense scene hilarious. The song started to play and was in sync with Naruto's lips. The song started. The video. He went away and you hung around and bothered me every night. The audience chuckled a bit, whilst Naruto was blushing from embarrassment, Sasuke only managed a little bit of red on his face. And when I won't go out with you you said things that weren't very nice. Kiba yelled out, that pretty much sums it up. Making everyone laugh, Hinata let out a small smile at the humorous way of representing how Naruto rejected Sakura. My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble hey la de la my boyfriend's back. It showed Sasuke jumping in front of Naruto during the battle with the 10 tails. Video end. Everyone was now laughing at the implied message that Naruto was gay for Sasuke. Which begged the question. Ino asked Naruto, hey. Is that why you're so hang up on Sasuke, Naruto? Are you secretly gay for him? Sai added his input, well, I read in a book that when someone chases someone far and wide to bring them home, it means that they love them and want to have a family with. Making people laugh harder at the embarrassed Naruto denying that he was gay. Then Karen who recovered from her emotional moment said, maybe that's why Sasuke never responded to my advances, he was always more interested in finding strong men than women. Making everyone laugh harder, Naruto and Sasuke were now beat red denying it and Hinata looked at Sasuke worried. Hinata thought to herself, if that's true, then it all makes sense. That M means Sasuke-kun is my rival too. Hagoromo and Hamura laughed quietly amongst themselves before the first person said. Now that is out of the way, we may now show you all Naruto's future in about 3 years' time Hagoromo told them. They all nodded and waited eagerly to know Naruto's future. Hagoromo used the same jutsu he used earlier to show Naruto's future, but before completing it, he warned everyone, especially Naruto. Everyone, keep in mind, what you will see may break your hearts, especially yours Naruto Hagoromo warned. Naruto tilted his head to the side, he had been ignored and ostracized for most of his life, what could possibly hurt him that much? Hagoromo added just for reassurance, "Don't worry, it gets better." Showing the future. He started the jutsu, and it showed a more developed and modern Konoha, making everyone look in awe of the future. Tenten quietly said, "Wow, it really does show the future." Everyone else nodded dumbly. Then it showed Naruto looking exactly like he was now in his jumpsuit on a rooftop. Sakura was about to yell out that he looked the same. However, a bunch of cherry blossoms covered his entire frame before blowing away, revealing a much taller, broader-shouldered and built man with short, spiky hair, dressed in a black military vest with an orange zipper with a red armband on his left arm. He wore orange shinobi pants and wore blank sandals on his feet. Everyone was stunned by Naruto's future appearance, even Ino yelled out "damn." Clearly in appreciation of what she was seeing, Hinata was blushing a shade of explosive red at the sight of him. Naruto exclaimed, "Heck yeah. Look how cool I look. I'm even taller than Kakashi-sensei." Everyone let him brag because what he was saying was true. Sure, Naruto may not be the most attractive guy there was, but holy hell did puberty put him right up in the future. After the scene of showcasing future Naruto's new look transitioned into a past memory of Naruto's of a certain snowy day. They saw a little girl of the age of 5, standing in the snow wearing a light purple coat with a beige scarf around her neck and dark gray sweatpants. She had a mop of midnight blue hair done in a Heim cut, but the most prominent feature of this little girl was her light lavender shaded pupilless eyes. This was Hinata on the day of the academy enrollment. Everyone squealed at the adorable 5-year-old Hinata, much to her embarrassment. However, Naruto didn't. He instead slightly widened his eyes at the sight of little Hinata before he turned to Hinata, who was right next to him with a big grin. "Oh. It was you, Hinata," he exclaimed, making Hinata blush and look down. Everyone else was confused at Naruto's reaction until the scene continued. They heard a bunch of comments being made at Hinata. "If you're really a Hyuga, then show us your Byakugan," the first kid said. A second kid added, "If you can't then don't show your face around here." A third and last spat, "Your eyes are really creepy." The first kid spoke again, "I bet you're actually some kind of night monster, right?" A second child reinforced his comment, "You Byakugan monster." Hinata began to cry and put her face into her hands whilst squatting down. Everyone was pissed. How dare those kids pick on someone as sweet and innocent as Hinata? Naruto's reaction, however, took the cake as his eyes turned red at the scene and red chakra seeped out. However, he calmed down as Hinata placed a hand on his own, making him look at her. She smiled at him, making him go back to being goofy. He told her, "Next time we see those guys, remind me to punch them in the face again. You got that, Hinata?" She blushed and timidly nodded whilst everyone was confused. Hiba asked, "What do you mean again?" However, the scene answered their question. "Hey. You guys quit it." A loud rough voice called out to them. The three bullies turned around to look at a short boy with spiky blonde hair that made him look like the sun, sparkling blue eyes, a round chubby face with 3 whisker marks on each one, and a pair of goggles on his forehead. He was wearing a black t-shirt with a white spiral on front, an orange jacket he wore open and grey baggy shorts. The bullies asked, "Who are you?" in a mocking tone. The blonde answered back with a fierce determination. "I'm Uzumaki Naruto. I'm the future Hokage, you know," he declared. It was Naruto's turn to be embarrassed when all the girls squealed at the sight of a 5-year-old Naruto coming to Hinata's rescue. They commented about how adorable he was being her knight in shining armor, whilst all guys, except Sasuke, gave him the thumbs up and the eyebrows. The bullies mocked him, "Future Hokage. Are you some kind of moron?" they teased. Naruto then warned them, "Prepare yourself. Shadow Clone Jutsu." Everyone's eyes went wide when little Naruto said the name of that jutsu. He knew how to use his chakra at that age without help. Everyone was cheering little Naruto on to show them who's boss until 2 puffs of smoke appeared and vanished to reveal 2 runt-sized copies of Naruto. Everyone's sweat dropped at the scene and most wanted to point out how cute the runt-sized clones looked. However, Sasuke actually chuckled, gaining a lot of everyone's attention. He turned to Naruto and insulted him, "You were a dope even that far back," he teased. Naruto grew a tick mark and started arguing with him. "What was that, you bastard? I'll kick your ass right now and show you who's the dope," Naruto yelled at him. Sasuke smirked and replied, "Bring it on, I'll beat you down." Naruto then raised his fist in response and started making claims about coming out with a super jutsu. Sasuke just smirked cockily at him whilst inwardly, he was laughing in relief and happiness. He unwillingly missed these fights with Naruto and never knew how much he valued the blonde. However, the argument was stopped by Kakashi, who said, "Calm down you two, the lovers' quarrel can wait," he joked. Everyone giggled at the two, who immediately looked away from each other in disgust and sat back down in their seats. However, Hinata looked at Naruto worried and glared at Sasuke. "So it isn't Sakura that I have to worry about, it's Sasuke-kun I need to worry about. I won't lose Naruto-kun to you," Hinata mentally declared. One of the clones yelled at the bullies in a squeaky voice. "I'm going to beat you down," the first one said. The second clone finished, "You know." The bullies began laughing at Naruto, who went beady-eyed at his jutsu until he was sucker punched in the face, resulting in him getting a nosebleed and falling back unconscious. The bully said, "We really taught this guy a lesson. What's with this future Hokage?" One of them questioned whilst tugging on his red scarf. "They're being so cocky, let's take care of his red scarf." The bullies began swinging from his scarf and stomping on it, ruining Naruto's red scarf. Everyone was saddened at the scene. Those boys were horrible, damaging someone's scarf like that. Then the boys got bored and left Naruto there. Hinata picked up Naruto's scarf and squatted down beside him. He got up suddenly and proclaimed, "Wait. This time I'll use a super duper jutsu, huh?" He looked around confused before squatting down, patting his left cheek. Making Hinata ask him, "Are you okay?" Naruto replied and waved his hand, "It's nothing," as if it wasn't a big deal. Hinata then lifted the red ruined scarf up. Your scarf is," Hinata tried to find the words to say. But Naruto assured her, "It's nothing," but the look in his eyes told her that the scarf meant a lot to him. Then Naruto got up and started to run towards the academy. However, Hinata stopped him, "Wait." He turned around. "I'd just like to say, thank you very much," she thanked him. Naruto grinned and told her, "See ya," and took off again. Hinata stood there watching him run and smiled whilst holding on to his scarf. That was the day Hinata began to grow feelings for Naruto. All the girls went awe at the adorable memory between Naruto and Hinata, making the said pair blush. Then the scene changed to the future Naruto, who was walking back to his apartment after eating some ramen with his friends until he spotted a familiar veil of midnight blue hair. "Hinata. What are you doing here?" he asked her, making Hinata jump in surprise and turn around, showing everyone her bulky clothes, but saw that her hair was much longer than it was back then. She greeted him back and said that she was just hanging around. Naruto asked her, "Hey. Are you hungry, Hinata?" She tried to reply, "Oh no. I'm fine, I just," then her stomach growled loudly, making Naruto laugh out loud. Hinata's face turned completely red in embarrassment. As did the current Naruto and Hinata. Naruto, along with everyone else, laughed at Hinata's growling stomach whilst Hinata turned red and tried to shrink into her jacket. Naruto commented, "You know, Hinata. If I learned anything about you, it's that you can eat tons, you know." And laughed more. Hinata shrunk even more, wishing Naruto was so surprisingly observant. Naruto then tried to invite Hinata to eat some ramen with him in his apartment. Hinata squeezed the paper bag she was holding, hoping to give it to him, but the sight of Naruto wearing a blue stripy scarf stopped her. Her courage went away and she thought, "Whoever gave you that scarf is a lucky girl." She instead apologized and ran away somewhere, much to Naruto's confusion as he chased after her. Everyone groaned at Naruto. "You're an idiot," they all thought. Then future Naruto heard future Hinata scream somewhere in the park. Everyone saw future Hinata being held captive by a puppet and a white-haired man holding a ball of cyan chakra towards her. Everyone gasped in shock at this scene. However, the future Naruto called out to them whilst throwing a punch at the white-haired man, who simply disappeared. Then the puppet holding Hinata ran away, prompting many dozens of other puppets to converge on Naruto, who took a personalized stance. Kakashi commented, "Seems like we get to see the future Naruto in action," he said in amusement. Everyone else, especially Sasuke, were eager to see how much stronger Naruto had become. And they weren't disappointed. Future Naruto had begun to dodge and strike at each puppet, destroying each one with one blow each with very little effort. He even did a few windmill kicks to blow many of them away. Everyone was impressed and shocked by just how much Naruto had improved in the future. Lee even shouted, "Naruto-kun. You are letting your youth burn with that display of taijutsu. I will strive to become strong like you." Before Tenten hit his head, making him calm down. Back to Naruto's future, he had managed to reach the rooftops and barely dodged a barrage of chakra blasts, only for Naruto to appear in the air and conjure up a familiar technique. A bright orange shuriken shape made from pure chakra appeared in his hand and he threw it at the puppets. "Raisin shuriken!" future Naruto yelled. The flying disc sliced through all the puppets who were chasing him in one swoop. Everyone was amazed by the fact he could throw it without Sage Mode now, and even better, when he could control it telepathically. However, the battle ended there, much to everyone's disappointment. It skipped to a scene where Sai, Shikamaru, Sakura, Naruto and Hinata were being briefed on their next mission. The audience took a moment to appreciate Hinata's future appearance, as she had even longer hair than before, which was slightly waved, but still in the same style, but wore a lavender kimono blouse with a brown obi wrapped around her waist, brown shorts that reached barely mid-thigh, knee-high shinobi boots and thigh-high leggings. Biba whistled in appreciation at Hinata's future appearance, as he knew when a girl was a babe when he saw one. Too bad Hinata was a little too much on the quiet and innocent side for his taste. He was more into girls similar to his mother and sister. The girls on the other hand were yelling comments like, "Hey, Hinata, you look amazing." Ino shouted, Sakura and Tenten cheered in agreement. Hinata was blushing due to how much of her figure was on display and simply nodded a thank you. Then they heard an important detail they almost missed. Kakashi, the sixth Hokage, was behind the desk briefing everyone on the mission. Everyone's jaws dropped. Kakashi was going to become Hokage. Kakashi told the participants. "Listen up, I'm sending you guys on a mission to rescue Hanabi from Tenari. Hinata is going with on a special request. Your mission is to save Hanabi and stop the moon from falling down to the earth," he told them seriously. Everyone gasped. Ino yelled, "What? The moon is going to fall down to the earth?" Hinata and Niji were concerned about Hanabi. Why would someone kidnap Hanabi? The Byakugan. Niji asked Hamura-sama. Why is this Tenari abducting Hanabi-sama for? And why is he bringing the moon down to the earth? Hamura held up his hand and told them to be quiet, with his Byakugan activated, forcing everyone to shut up. Another time skip. Naruto and Hinata are shown to be caught in a genjutsu. This was a rather pleasant surprise, as it was teaching Naruto something he always wanted to know. It looked through all his memories and were compared to Hinata's. He began to learn that every little thing she did for him was because she cared for him, making him realize more and more why he cared so much for her. Then it replayed her confession, much to the shy Hyuga's embarrassment. Then it showed a scene between Sakura and Hinata eating Anmitsu. Hinata says, Naruto doesn't know what love is. In shock. Sakura replies, exactly. That idiot doesn't even know the difference between love for ramen and love for a person. She tells her. Then future Naruto eating his ramen looks up and says in slight disbelief, wait, it's not. Naruto of the present at the same time yelled, wait, it's not the same thing. Everyone slaps their hands against their foreheads except Sasuke and Sai. Sakura yells at him, of course it isn't, you idiot. What did you think it was? Threatening to hit him. Sasuke in rare moment decides to intervene and tell them why Naruto didn't understand love. Of course he won't. Hess never had anyone to show him affection or explain feelings to him. When you're all alone, with no one in your life, you only emulate the things you think are feelings. Naruto never had anyone. He literally had, simply put, nothing, nothing to treasure, nothing to love, nothing to feel, Sasuke tells everyone. Everyone flinched at Sasuke's description of Naruto's life. They couldn't imagine being that stunted that even your emotions are a mess. Yamato and Sai thought that Naruto's life was easily Danzo's vision to create the perfect weapon. Sakura then tells Hinata, that's right Hinata, people have saved him before. For example, Sasuke can't save him from dying like you did, except you actually told him that you love him, which was a first for him, so Naruto probably thought you love the same way Sasuke does, like a brother. Then it showed Naruto in Iruka's classroom walking by Hinata's seat and sees the person she wants to spend the last day on Earth with. Naruto in surprise went wide-eyed and stutters, what? Me? Why? Then Naruto was transported to a snowy road and catches the same paper that Hinata wrote his name on before looking ahead to see Hinata's Chunin self. She clarifies for him, because I love you. Naruto's future self eyes widened in realization, the little things he did with Hinata, be it that burning desire to talk with her, wanting to make sure she of all people were safe, seeing her smile, holding her hand and in general, placing her before everything else, even going so far as to throw away his Nindo, because she mattered to him more than anything else. He realized something that made him feel stupid. All that time he wondered what love was. He discovered he felt it all along for the shy Hyuga he walked home the day he first met her. He, subconsciously and now realized, for all his life. He was in love with Hinata Hyuga. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene, not by his feelings, but the fact that he didn't know what he was feeling was love. Hinata was blushing madly, this is what she wanted her whole life, and now it was finally happening. After that scene, Naruto, Hinata, Team 7 and Shikamaru arrived at some abandoned village. Everyone had to split up into groups having to investigate with each other. Naruto and Hinata were paired together much to their delight. They went walking together, speaking with each other, cracking jokes here and there, making each other laugh. Naruto even found a water well with clean spring water and offered Hinata to have sip, which she gratefully accepted. Everyone went googly-eyed at the future versions of Naruto and Hinata. They weren't even a couple, yet their interactions were just like a pair of lovebirds. Hinata was blushing at the future scene of Naruto and her future self on their so not a date. She was already overjoyed to know that Naruto was indeed in love with her, but to see their future selves together made her feel really giddy. Naruto just stared at the scene in wonderment and longing. After seeing the genjutsu, he realized that love isn't liking people as much as ramen, and when it pointed out why he cared for Hinata so much, he really did feel stupid. All this time, he was in love with Hinata and never realized it. Not to mention, Hinata's confession was the type of love he was hoping for, not the one for a friend like he thought Sasuke has towards him. Naruto thought Hinata wouldn't ever like him that way and didn't want to get his hopes too high, but was happy that Hinata did love him that way. Now here he was looking at his future self with envy. Then, it forwarded to a scene where Naruto was resting on a tree observing Hinata knitting a red scarf. Future Naruto was caught up in how beautiful she looked in the moonlight. Unnoticed, present Naruto thought so too. He had in the past looked at Hinata, whilst he thought no one was watching to check her examine her fighting style and gear. He did at times imagine he and her going out on dates sometime, but thought Hinata was leagues ahead of him, as she was part of Konoha's most noble clan, and so thought it was a hopeless dream. Right now, he was taking in the sight of future Hinata's glossy long hair, angelic face and most of all, those twinkling moon pearl eyes he unknowingly fell in love with all those years ago. "Yo, Hinata. What's up?" he asked. Hinata looked up and replied. "Oh. Naruto-kun. I'm just knitting a scarf. I'm a terrible older sister Rent I were here to save Hanabi, yet here I am, knitting a scarf," she said, beating herself up. Naruto told her otherwise. "Hey, don't say that, you being here means you care about her and would do anything to make sure she is safe, besides, that's why I'm here, I promise I'll save Hanabi, believe it." Hinata smiled at him. "Oh Naruto-kun, you're such a good person to do all this for me," she said. Naruto became a little flustered and told her. "Hey, come on now, I'm doing this because I really want to be here, not because I'm in love with you or anything, I'm really worried about Hanabi." Hahaha. He joked. Everyone's eyes went wide. Hinata was holding her breath. Was this really happening? Then Hinata in the future got up and asked him. "What did you say?" she pleaded. Naruto said, "I said I was worried about Hanabi." "No, before that," she asked. Naruto then took a breath and took a caring look that he only ever showed to Hinata. "I said that I am in love with you," Hinata Naruto confessed. Everyone ended cheering and Hinata was crying tears of joy at the scene. Inu yelled, "Oh my god. It finally happened." Karen was crying her comical tears for her cousin, Wa. So happy. Hagoromo then shot their hopes down. Not yet. Everyone questioned him but continued watching instead and saw why. After Naruto confessed, Hinata was shocked and had a look was joy in her eyes. However, that Tenari guy came for her and asked if she made her choice. He asked Hinata, "Have you made your choice yet, Hinata?" Naruto asked her, "Choice? What choice?" Hinata gave Naruto the red scarf and walked towards Tenari and onto his platform. Hinata turned around and looked at Naruto with an emotionless expression. This is goodbye Naruto before she was held by Tenari. This shocked everyone, then the unexpected happened. When Tenari and Hinata was being drifted away, Naruto in the future began giving chase, screaming at Tenari to give her back. "Wait. Give her back. Let her go, you bastard," Naruto demanded. Tenari smirked and told him, "I didn't force her into anything, Hinata came to me of her own free will." Naruto's eye widened and asked Hinata. "No. Hinata, that isn't true, right?" he begged in a broken voice. Hinata didn't look back at him. Naruto's heart went from broken to being milled into powder. Everyone gasped in horror at what future Hinata did. Say birds came help Naruto keep up with Tenari and Hinata. Naruto had a golden orange Rasengan in his right hand, but it was unstable and poorly formed due to his emotional state getting to him. As Naruto chased Hinata, being taken away by Tenari. Memories of Hinata and himself flashed in his head. Old memories he locked away from his childhood. He recalled the little girl he used to find alone in the park sometimes and head push her swing, having the time of their lives. Only for that big bully to take her away from him, leaving him sad. Then he recalled trying to make friends with her during the beginning of the academy, always coming to her defense from bullies, only for that same big bully to tell him to stay away from Hinata. All those times Hinata was taken from him, he wasn't going to relive them, not like when pain almost killed her. Everyone watching Naruto's childhood memories of Hinata bursts out into tears. How could people take someone so important to Naruto away from him so many times? How could Naruto have his heart broken like that again and again? Tenari got tired of being catched and raised his right arm and fired off a ball of Saiyan chakra at Naruto. Hinata was shocked and tried to tell not to do it. The ball of chakra clashed with Naruto's Rasengan, but as Naruto couldn't focus along with his poorly made Rasengan, he was easily overpowered and had his chakra siphoned off. "My chakra," Naruto said in his mind. His chakra was fired towards the ground and erupted into a huge explosion that opened a hole in the ground, revealing a hole where one could see the planet Earth. The explosion caught Naruto in it. Hinata could be seen arguing with Tenari about how he promised not to harm her friends, but was put to sleep by him. Everyone was flabbergasted by the scene, it was a very painful one to watch. Especially for Naruto, whose eyes lost its light and he was no longer looking at Hinata. Hinata tried to reach her hand out to Naruto's shoulder to tell him that she'd love him no matter what. But Naruto shifted away a considerable distance towards Sasuke. Everyone looked in pity for Naruto, they had never seen him so heartbroken, even Sasuke was showing signs of pity for the blonde, if the hand on his shoulder wasn't proof of that, a rejection from the girl who pinned after you for years was a tough one to swallow. Sasuke never really liked Hinata too much to begin with, but could respect her for being focused on being a kunoichi. But after that heartbreaking scene, he downright despised her. Everyone always thought that if anyone was going to be hurt, it'd be Hinata in this relationship, not the other way around. Hinata wanted to cry at what had unfolded, she never wanted to hurt Naruto, and she knew for a fact that she would never fall for someone else. She looked to her teammates who put a hand on her shoulder, she had been hoping they'd console and comfort her, but instead, she saw that Kiba and Shino both sported disappointed looks at her. She looked around and saw that much of the group look away from her, Hinata flinched, she knew what they were telling her. That wasn't how you turn someone down. Even Neji, who would usually come to her defense, couldn't bring himself to forgive his cousin. However, a scene was shown between Naruto and Sakura. Naruto sat by Sakura's side. Naruto apologized to her, in response Sakura told him it was alright. She then brought up, "Wow, I knew it was going to happen sooner or later, but I never expected you to confess first." Naruto remained silent. Naruto thought, yeah, I agree, what was I thinking? Why did I ever believe that I even had a slim chance with someone like Hinata? Naruto of the present slumped even more, this was exactly why he never considered dating Hinata, well at least tried not to think of her, she was a princess. A princess. What was he compared to her? Sakura then mentioned, "I remember when you used to say you loved me." Naruto then said, "Well that was." Sakura stopped him, "I get it, I know, you never really loved me, you were just trying to get my attention, so you could beat Sasuke at something, weren't you?" She asked rhetorically. Everyone watching the scene gasped. Sakura then asked Naruto, "Wait Naruto. Is that true?" Everyone looked at Naruto for an answer, he didn't say anything other than avoid their stares. That answered everyone's question. Sakura beamed, "But it's real this time. You're actually in love with her." Sakura smiled at him, "Naruto, Hinata is a great girl. Almost too good for you in fact," she added, making Naruto groan at how true that was. Naruto groaned. Sakura assured him, "Naruto, girls' feelings don't change that easily, when a girl falls in love and it's true love, that can never change, oh yeah, I know exactly how she feels." Naruto's eyes brightened up with hope. Sakura then added. "Besides, think about it, Toneri kidnaps her sister, and now suddenly she accepts his proposal to marry her. Shess did what she did to save her sister, and most of all you." Naruto shot up. "So? I still have a chance?" Naruto asked. Sakura smiled at him, "You always had a chance, you dummy." Naruto could be seen walking towards the artificial sun and staring intently at it. "Hinata, I know it took a while, but I decided that you and I are going to be together forever, so I can't give up here." He stated his mind. Naruto's eye lit back up and he slowly moved back next to Hinata and slid his hand into hers, much to her surprise and relief. He looked at Hinata nervously and told her quietly, "Hey Hinata, I'm sorry." Hinata smiled at him and let a tear out of her eye and told him it was okay. Everyone smiled in relief that the two were on good terms again, except Sasuke, it would take more than that for Hinata to ever earn his approval. Then they went back to watching the film. Everyone could be seen staying back telling Naruto to go after Hinata, which he thanked them and took off after Hinata. Toneri had put a wafer into his mouth and leaned down towards a very lifeless Hinata, whose mouth opened a bit, almost touching the wafer. Everyone held their breath, hoping Naruto makes it. Then the doors slammed open, stopping the kiss from taking place. Everyone let out their breaths. Toneri, not one to lose a battle, decides to order Hinata to intercept Naruto. Hinata begins to attack Naruto, who was dodging effortlessly, and asked what was wrong. As Naruto was in sage mode, he sensed that Hinata was under some kind of jutsu, most likely a puppet control sealing jutsu from what Naruto had learnt over the years. He made his right arm glow orange and thrusted it into Hinata's chest without hurting her, he found what the problem was and pulled it out. Hinata then became conscious and looked at Naruto in surprise. Naruto smiles at her before glaring at Toneri murderously. "You bastard," he growled before breaking the puppet jutsu. Then Toneri uses his gravitational ability to take Hinata away from him and push Naruto into the wall. He attempted to use the puppet jutsu on Hinata again, but his eyes began to pulsate in pain, causing him to let Hinata go and escape with Naruto. As Naruto and Hinata are escaping, she informs Naruto of the Tenseigan. Once they found it, Naruto was about to destroy it himself, but Hinata stopped him. "No, don't, only someone with Hamura's bloodline can destroy it, or else the person's chakra will be drained." Everyone looked at Hinata in surprise and then at Hamura. Neji asks, "Hamura-sama, if you don't mind my asking, does Hinata-sama have your power?" Hamura smiled and told them, "Yes, Hinata does in fact have my powers, as she is one of my direct reincarnations, she just hasn't awakened it yet." Everyone was shocked. Naruto then grinned at Hinata and told her, "I told you, you are amazing, Tobeo." Hinata blushed at the praise. Hinata used her new purple chakra and charged at the Tenseigan. 8 trigrams. Twin lion surging shot. Her attack collides with the Tenseigan, but it didn't even dent. Hinata simply didn't have the power. Naruto suggests, "Hinata, you have to infuse me with your chakra," as he holds her hand. Hinata replies, "What?" Naruto replies with a smile, "Working together, we might be able to break it apart." Hinata looked at him for a moment until she smiled and nodded. They both then shrouded themselves in their own chakras, whilst merging them together in perfect harmony, a synchronization that not even with their teammates they have ever achieved. They jumped up, Naruto formed a golden-orange Rasengan, and Hinata stacked her lion fist over it before slamming it into the Tenseigan, effectively destroying it. Many of the people from Konoha cheered at the synchronized attack performed by Naruto and Hinata. The way they perfectly cinched without rehearsal was proof enough that the two were meant to be. Naruto and Hinata along with the rest of the Moon Squad could be seen leaving the castle, however, a giant golem appeared threatening them. Naruto was then engulfed in a cloak of orange chakra, with 6 paths age mode activated as well. He then yelled out, "Kurama," releasing an enormous glowing orange fox with 9 tails. Everyone was shocked by this event. They thought that the fox was escaping, but when it started battling the golem and was pushed outside the moon, they started cheering the fox on. Gaara finally spoke up, "Wait. Isn't Naruto going to die with his tailed beast within him?" Making everyone worry, however, Hagoromo reassures them, "Don't worry, in the future, Naruto befriends Kurama in the future and is Seal Master of Sorts, he can fight without having Kurama inside of him." Everyone let out a breath of relief. Naruto asked, "Who's Kurama?" Hagoromo responds, "You know him as the 9-tailed fox," shocking everyone that the tailed beast have names. Naruto smiles faintly and thinks, "Kurama, you could have told me you had a name." He heard the fox scoff. Until someone noticed. "Hold on. Are they on the moon?" Yamato shouts out. This made everyone stop and look for a second. "Holy crap. They are on the moon." Kiba yells. As Kurama and the golem battle outside, Naruto calls his name in worry until Toneri comes. He then performed a series of hand signs that made him shroud himself into a flame of Saiyan chakra and spawn 9 Truthseeker orbs, which he used to create a tornado to separate Naruto and Hinata. As Naruto is looking for Hinata, he hears her scream making look up into the air. Once the dust cleared, Toneri could be seen holding Hinata by her hair. Toneri exclaims, "Hinata belongs to me," then he makes a golden cage and chucks her in there whilst telling her she can watch her lover die in there. Naruto yells out Hinata's name before begins running and dodging Toneri's chakra blast. Then Naruto took flight and began to engage Toneri in high-speed Taijutsu combat mid-flight. Everyone's jaws went slack at the battle. This fight was faster than even anything Konoha's Yellow Flash ever achieved. Then Kiba pointed out, "What the hell? Naruto can fly, since when?" Everyone wanted to know as well, even Naruto who had stars in his eyes at his future self's ability to fly. Hagoromo answered, "Naruto has the ability to fly because some time later, he awakened my son's 6 paths Yang chakra or my sage body with my assistance. It's possible for Naruto to be able to awaken it on his own, but it'd take much longer." Everyone was silent at that answer. Naruto inherits the sage's body. Sasuke was inwardly fuming that Naruto attained such power. Why did he keep pulling ahead? As Naruto and Toneri clash once more before separating, Toneri says, "The world the sage of 6 paths created is a failure. He'll destroy it and recreate it anew." Naruto then forms a planetary Rasengan, which was just an ordinary Rasengan with smaller Rasengans orbiting it. Naruto charges at Toneri as he does the same, "There's no way I'm going to let you destroy the earth." The clash, their powers cancel each other out. Naruto conjures 2 Rasengans, and with those alone, he matched the power of all of Toneri's truth-seeking orbs. Hagoromo couldn't help but compliment Naruto, "You have fine mastery of your techniques, it's not easy to use lesser abilities and be able to overcome those of greater realms." Naruto blushed at the praise and scratched his head. "Ah. Thanks Super Sage Gramps," Naruto said, only to get hit on the head by Sakura. "Don't call him that." Sakura scolded. Naruto felt a churn in his stomach as he heard the fox roar at him. Hagoromo tells them he doesn't mind. Toneri backs off from a battle of melee combat, seeing as it was getting nowhere, fires multiple chakra blasts at Naruto who simply dodges and redirects the projectiles. Toneri however, saw this as his opportunity and use his orbs to create a golden beam. He brings it down to Naruto who jumps towards Toneri. Golden wheel. Rebirth explosion. He shouts as he swings the beam down at Naruto. Hinata calls Naruto's name. Everyone laid witness to one of the most powerful jutsu they ever witnessed. The beam sliced through the moon, cutting it in half. No one said anything, they didn't have the words to describe it. Toneri looks down and says, "That's it, it's over." Hinata had her eyes closed, not wanting to believe that Naruto died. Until, it's not over until I say it is. Naruto shouted. Hinari and Hinata looked around. Naruto came out of the opening, along with almost 5,000 clones. Everyone except Naruto, Sasuke and Sai had their jaws on the floor, they knew Naruto to make tons of clones, but 5,000. They all bombarded Hinari, who was panicking, he was relying on that last attack to erase Naruto from the world, that he ended up forming a barrier from his truth seeker orbs, saving him from the clone barrage. Then Neji smiled at the next scene as it was all too familiar, apparently Kiba smirked too, why? Naruto used the same move that finished Neji in the Chunin exams against Hinari. Then Naruto was standing where he was looking at Hinari with a serious expression, Hinari told him to give up. However, Naruto pulled out Hinata's scarf which made the present Hinata cry out more. He then said a speech. As if he'd give up now. It takes a lot of time to knit a scarf. The deeper the feelings are that you want to convey, it takes longer to knit. He ends seriously whilst gripping the scarf tightly in his right hand. Everyone was stunned by Naruto's speech, none more so than Hinata. Naruto began to scoot closer to Hinata once more, much to her relief. I won't let you do what you want. Future Naruto yelled, whilst he deflected Todoro's golden beam. That's why, I won't let it end as easily as that. He ended whilst smashing Todoro's face. Sakura yelled, Cha. Do me proud Naruto. Then Hinata was finally free from captivity and met up with Naruto, however, Hinata took a stern look towards Hinari and walked up to him. It'll be taking Hanabi's eyes back she told him whilst reaching for his sockets. Neji and Hinata were shocked, this man achieved such power by taking Hanabi's eyes. Everyone whistled at what happened next, Hinata without emotions plucked the eyes out, who knew she could be so ruthless they wondered. However, Hinari made one last-ditch effort and began to collect all the spare Byakugan onto his body and absorbed Naruto's chakra. However, Hinata helps Naruto restore his chakra much to Todoro's shock, she to him that she too was a descendant of Hamura. Then Hinari begins to absorb more chakra until he sucks in too much due to the lack of a Tenseigan to help him monitor the amount of chakra he receives, causing him to bloat. Shikamaru informs everyone that Hinari is going to explode and take the moon with him. But Naruto flies to him and saves Hinari by absorbing the excess chakra. People smile at Naruto, even when you hurt him the most, he's still willing to help those in need. Then the next scene came. Naruto and Hinata were standing together, then Hinata asked one question that Hinata struggled to ask. Naruto-kun, who gave you that scarf? She asked. Everyone listened, they all wanted to know who was that was so important to Naruto that had never wanted to get damaged. Naruto looks down at his scarf and replies this. My mom made it for me before I was born. Hinata looks up and laughs quietly to herself for being jealous of his mother. Everyone paused for a second as they heard Naruto stammer out. My mom made that for me, Naruto said almost on the verge of tears. Hinata however, comforted him making him remember that Hinata would be there for him. Then Ino asked, alright. This is killing me. Who is Naruto's mother? What does she even look like? Making everyone except the Yamato, Kakashi, Tsunade and Shizune nod in agreement. It flashed to a past event where one could see a young slender yet feminine woman who looked like she was 20 but was actually a bit older than that. She had large round violet eyes, a beautiful angelic face that was rounded, and she was dressed in a white high-collared blouse with a loose-fitting long green dress over her body hiding her curves. But the most predominant feature on her was her waist-length, silky long red hair. All the guys who saw this woman blushed, it wasn't often you saw a woman of such unimaginable beauty. However, Naruto spoke out, wait, is she my? He looked to Hagoromo who nodded, Naruto's eyes teared up. The woman then looked down to her pregnant belly and touched it lovingly. She spoke to it, Naruto, your mother here is making you a scarf so that no matter where you are, your mother's love will always be there with you to keep you warm, Dadabane. Everyone's mouth dropped, this gorgeous goddess was Naruto's mother. And that verbal tick was proof of it. Naruto was letting his tears flow, not caring who saw, he finally got to see his mother and saw how much she loved him even before he was born. Then it skipped back to Naruto and Hinata. Naruto and Hinata were now returning to the earth, but as they walked by, the orbs showed all the memories they have of each other. To everyone's surprise, Naruto and Hinata had spent a lot of time together, even before this future viewing. From more recent times of them always hanging out with each other after missions of when they had free time, ramen and zenzai eating competitions between the two. Training together when they meet up at Neji's grave. Everyone gasped at that scene, Neji was dead. The more present times when Naruto saw Hinata with Temari and Kuritsuchi asking for advice on being feminine, making Naruto compliment Hinata about being famous. Which Naruto joined in and said, Hinata isn't feminine, if you want feminine ask Sakura-chan. Hinata was upset that Naruto thought she wasn't feminine, but when they saw his thought, she was happy that he didn't. Hinata isn't feminine, she's amazing. Databeo. And that one time when Naruto told Sakura and Ino that he preferred girls with shy innocent personality like Hinata's. Ino and Sakura, who had honestly forgot about that time, looked away with defiant faces. They still had it against Naruto for preferring Hinata over them. Then it showed their genuine memories when Naruto was amazed by Hinata's protection of 64 palms technique, finding the Bikouchu thanks to Hinata to the point he hugged her. That time she gave him the medical salve. Times when Team 7 and 8 trained together, Naruto would always try to talk with Hinata, which were never successful since Hinata was so shy, so Naruto instead played with Hinata's hair bangs, making everyone laugh and Hinata smile. Everyone had to stop themselves from awing the adorable things Naruto and Hinata do together. That time when Naruto asked Hinata if the Byakugan could see through clothes, making a red-faced Hinata admit that it was able to too, only to faint when Naruto asked if she used it for that often. Everyone laughed at the embarrassed Hinata, they now knew she was a pervert. Then all the times when Hinata would stalk Naruto, it revealed that Naruto always knew she was there, but would show off by training extra and even harder, hoping that Hinata would come out and tell him how cool he was. Little Naruto training felt Hinata's presence and thought, she's here again. Maybe he'll show off a bit and then she'll see how cool I am and will want to be my friend. Everyone giggled and awed at a red-faced Naruto for trying to impress Hinata all those times. Then Naruto began to tell Hinata all about his feelings. Remember back in the academy when we were asked to write down the name of who we'd want to spend the last day on Earth with, Naruto asked. Everyone recalled that day and knew where this was going. Naruto admitted, I didn't write anyone, I didn't have friends, I didn't have anyone to call precious. Everyone teared up at this statement. Then Naruto in the future said, but now I know who I'd like to spend that last day on Earth with. A pause, then he said, it's you Hinata, I want to spend my last day with you forever and ever. Hinata in the future was holding his hand and let out a tear of joy. Naruto-kun, she said. Everyone smiled and the girls all went googly-eyed and awed. Then Naruto told her that he wants to know more about her, then the scene that happened next made everyone cry even more. Naruto and Hinata were running towards the earth hand in hand. It started off with their Shippuden versions running, then their genin selves, which made everyone smile, and then the most unexpected happened. Their 5-year-old versions started running together and everyone went awe and cried more at the scene. Temari, who refused to be like other girls, looked up to stop the tears. The most beautiful thing about this scene was that the whole time, Naruto was wearing the red scarf Hinata made for him to represent the one that brought them together. It was their red thread of fate. Then, the moment that they all waited for, Naruto used his Rasengan to launch both himself and Hinata high in the sky, in front of the moon where Naruto and Hinata shared their first kiss. At this point everyone cheered, except Sasuke, who smiled and clapped. He wasn't saying it out loud, but he was rooting for them secretly. Then, it showed a scene a few years later, where Hinata has her hair cut to shoulder length. They saw Naruto outside in the snow, and then heard footsteps and giggles. They saw a blonde child followed by a little girl who looked like Hinata with blue eyes and whisker marks. Naruto yelled, Daddy. Come play with us. Whilst jumping on Naruto. Then Himawari followed along and yelled, yeah. Come play with us. Hinata got up to observe them. Naruto then asked, Mommy. Join us. Himawari followed with, yeah. Join us. Hinata told them, okay. Making the kids cheer. Then they heard Hinata get hit by a snowball, Boruto-kun. Making the Uzumaki family laugh. Naruto told them, be careful now, your mother gets really strong when she gets serious. Whilst he said this, it showed a photo frame of Naruto and Hinata's wedding photo with Boruto and Himura's baby photos. Naruto's future end. At the end, everyone clapped and congratulated Naruto and Hinata, who were smiling and crying in happiness. Naruto looked at Hinata, who looked back in his eyes and saw endless love. Naruto remembering all that happened in the future, the rejection, how long she had cared for him, and why he cared for her so much. No, he wasn't going to risk that, he wasn't going to risk letting this angel leave his life. In a sudden burst of possessiveness and newly discovered love for Hinata. He grabbed her as if she'd disappear if he let go and kissed her with as much fervor as he could muster up, whilst everyone cheered at this, except Neji, who was still protective over his cousin, Tenten, convinced him to let it happen, especially since they saw how hurt Naruto was when he saw Hinata's rejection. Hinata was embarrassed but melted in the kiss easily, it was so much better than she dreamed of. When they separated, Naruto and Hinata looked into each other's eyes one last time and silently promised to each other. They'll never stop loving each other and never let go. Whilst everyone finally settled down. Hagoromo and Hamura asked. Thanks.